weight loss and fitness often comes down to a few tough moments each day and each week. And if you can learn how to get through those, then the sky is the limit.
Hello, Adam. I'm pretty pumped about today's episode. You know, I say that every week, but it's true. Like, I just think it's really exciting. Every time we get together, we get to talk about something really interesting that I think, helps people who are tuning in. And so I want to bring back, last time we met, you mentioned something called the comfort crisis. And I'm just going to go out on a limb here. Are you referring to the way that our society is basically being denied the discomforts of life?
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, winner. Excellent. All right. Do you want to, so
Yes.
What are we talking about here? Like, give me some more information.
It's just, you look like you're standing in line at the grocery store. What's everyone doing? They're looking at their phone. You get home, you're bored. What do? You log on to the endless amounts of apps or, services to watch a movie or a show. You don't want to go to the grocery store, you have food delivered, right? Like, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these, but it has certainly created, in my mind, like this comfort crisis in where people don't know how to be uncomfortable anymore.
Okay, but why is it a crisis? Like, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here, which,
Although the devil doesn't really need an advocate, but
That's true. He makes his own claims. Why is it a crisis?
So I really believe that, like, as we get older, we seek more comfort.
Okay.
But the more comfort we seek, the faster we age. Because I think when you stop challenging yourself, when you stop embracing discomfort and you're just focusing on just being comfortable, that's no bueno.
Okay. So in a way, you're saying we're in an aging crisis.
Exactly. Of course, I'm not talking about, chronological age here, right?
Okay.
You can't change that. I'm talking about your biological age. I'm talking about your health span. I'm talking about your vitality, right? If you're in this mode of comfort as you get older and you're not challenging yourself, I feel like you're going to age faster.
Wait a minute. I just thought of something. So are we saying we found the fountain of youth? Are you with me?
You heard it here first.
Guys, tune in. We found it. It's discomfort. Sorry.
What do you think though? How do you feel about, I mean, I just feel like as we get older, I mean, here's a perfect example. Like a little while ago, we went for a hike with the family and we were like 2 minutes we had left and I'm like, oh man, I don't have a jacket. And it was like 60 degrees out. And like, if you told me that 10 years ago that I would be like, I would turn around the car to get a little sweatshirt because it was 60 degrees and I didn't have a jacket. But who are you? Like, you can't embrace a little discomfort, being a little chilly for a little bit. Like I was like blown away with myself. I was like, I couldn't believe it.
I mean, is it because you're getting older? I don't understand. And by the way, I'm from Texas. People, when it's 60, the puffer coats come out. Y'all from Texas, y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You wait for that 60-degree weather so you can wear that puffer coat.
Right. Or it's like, I mean, my grandma, RIP, in Florida, like, we were talking, she'd be like, yeah, it got in the 50s yesterday. I was freezing. And I'd be up, in New York, and it's like, what? It's like 20 degrees
Shorts
here.
and
You're
t-shirt.
freezing?
Yeah. Well, okay. So yes, I see that. Now, did you ever see the movie WALL-E?
No.
Oh, well, freaking go watch that movie. For those of you who have, you know what I'm talking about. Adam, like, it got to the point where humans, I mean, never mind they're living in space, but like, they reduce so much friction for them that they just get carted around in these like floating car things on this big spaceship, and they drink all their food in smoothie form. Right? And you would also probably assume, like, biologically, like you said, they're just aging because there's nothing happening. They have no muscle. I mean, they're in space, so we know that's happening, but they don't have to do anything for themselves. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's a reversion in a way. Um, I
Yeah.
don't know. But I don't disagree with you, right? Like I agree. I think we don't experience enough friction. So what do we do to combat that?
Well, I mean, that's one of my points. Like, I really think a life well lived and a life that is filled with happiness and satisfaction has some sort of friction in it every day.
Hmm. Every day.
Whereas a life filled with like pleasure is fleeting, right? Happiness and satisfaction is lasting. And I think in order to get that, there has to be some discomfort. There has to be some friction, right? You can't appreciate good without the bad, right? You can't appreciate, the weekend without having the weekdays, right? That's all part of it. It's that yin and yang.
Right. You can't know one without the other.
Yes.
So then it's just not even, I mean, what are you experiencing really? So, all right, you said every day. Like tell us more because I think you're taking a stand, aren't you?
I am. And I really am taking a stand with myself. I mean, I really scared myself with that whole sweatshirt incident. Um, so I really, I try
Maybe you
to
should move to
impose.
Texas.
That'll certainly solve some things, but it'll also create a lot of other issues, for other reasons. But you know, I think I always try to include some sort of self-imposed discomfort in my day every day, and I'm doing
Mhm.
it three ways. Number one with my kids, number two with my exercise, and number three with my nutrition.
Okay. So you're self-imposing it. I mean, and truthfully, I think that's what we have to do, right? Because the world isn't making it easier for us to be uncomfortable. They're making it easier for us to be comfortable. So, all
Bingo.
right.
And
Oh,
that's the crisis, right? And I think part of this whole thing is I think that when you deal with discomfort and you know how to deal with it, when life inevitably and unfortunately throws punches at you and knocks you down, you are going to have the capacity to deal with it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, we're living kind of this sheltered life because of the benefits of less friction in society. Right. And then when the proverbial stuff hits the fan, we don't know how to deal with it because we
Right.
haven't been practicing any kind of discomfort.
Yes.
So, all right. So, daily, you gave us three examples an
Yes.
example with your kids, with your nutrition, and your fitness. So, all right, let's get a little more granular. And I would like to bring out the good old discomfort scale. I think it's really helpful. I use this with my clients all the time. I think you do as well. Just to clarify for everybody listening, the discomfort scale is 0 to 10. Zero is, feeling really good, easy breezy, not hard at all, no discomfort. 10 is excruciating. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Adam, talk us through where are you seeking out discomfort in parenthood?
So, you know, there's one example every day where, the kids come home, they wash their hands, and at times it looks like, you know, a dog just like took a bath in the sink and there's just water everywhere. And, I'm somewhat of a neat freak. I try to keep things tidy. And it used to really bother me. And sometimes it still does. And I also know, like, there might be some people saying, well, why don't you just tell them? I have told them. And they've certainly done and are a much better job. And they do a better job of kind of cleaning them up after themselves. But it's also, to me, the most important job in my life is being a father. And I think you only get so much nagging, right? Like if you're
Mhm.
constantly nagging, it's the old, people don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. Like if I'm constantly nagging, that's annoying. So I have to pick and choose. Right? I have to pick and choose my battles here. And to me, the ultimate definition of success to me is like, when your kids want you in their life later on, they don't necessarily need you. Right? And I think a part of that is how I'm acting with them now. And I can't constantly be do this, do that, right? So I have to pick and choose. This is one of those battles that I've kind of given up on.
Oh, you've given up. All right. Well, so how uncomfortable is it for you to not say anything? Like use the scale.
It's like a game show. I would say it's like a 4 or 5. You
Okay.
know, especially it used to be higher for sure. Um,
All right.
yeah,
So over time, it's gotten easier, which you talk about a lot, right? Like we talk about that. The more you face discomfort, the easier it does get.
no
Um,
doubt.
So, all right, cool. So 4 or 5. We're using this because we're going to kind of like measure these discomforts against each other. And I do want us to talk about too how you modulate it, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that's an important note as we kind of venture into this topic, talking about self-inflicted discomfort. It's not meant like grit and bear it, right? Like we're not talking about just sheer like blast your face off tens.
Right.
like nobody's giving out awards for a Herculean effort like that.
No.
Unless that's like your thing. Which if it is, send us an email. Um all right, so we got a 4 or 5 with the kids. You've practiced that one a lot, I can tell. I like it.
Yeah.
It's very endearing. It's good, right? We're all like that. I feel that way about the dishwasher, Adam. I mean, how many times have I said, like, put your dishes in the dishwasher and I open it up and it looks like a bomb went off there. I'm like,
Right.
these are never going to get clean. But I just remind myself, like, they're in the dishwasher.
Yep. Yep.
All right. So, nutrition. Talk to us about discomfort with nutrition. Where does that show up?
Well, before can I share how I made it a lot easier with my
Okay.
kids,
Yeah.
or do we want to do the tactics later on?
No. Yeah. Share with us your modulation.
So for me, it was all about a simple classic reframe. And the reframe was, if the sink is messy, if they're washing their hands, it means they're home. And if they're home, then I'm happy. And that really made a huge difference for me. It's like, all right, they're home. And, great. Like that to me is the best thing ever. So,
yeah, it's definitely like an antidote to that frustration for sure.
yeah.
All right. So reframing, we're going to put that on the list, put that on the bulletin board. A
All right.
reframe can modulate your discomfort.
Yes.
All right. Cool. So nutrition, where does it get itchy for you?
For me, it's always post dinner, right? The kids are in bed, everyone's sleeping, and I'm just sitting on the couch, like, oh, it'd be fun to eat some chips or ice cream or something like that. And that is always a challenging time. There's no doubt that is my most vulnerable time of day.
Yeah, I think a lot of people listening would agree with that. That feels like a monster.
Yeah.
Right? Like clawing you from the inside. Where would you put that on the discomfort scale?
I would say it's an 8 or 9. I mean, there are times where it's like, it's almost so uncomfortable you start laughing. You're like, it's like this itch below your skin that you cannot itch. It can get uncomfortable at times.
Yeah. All right. Do you ever modulate? Well, first of all, like, do you have success with dealing with that discomfort? And if so, how?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a few tactics I employ to make it a lot easier. So, I always think if, your middle of the afternoon is your most challenging time, then focus on the meal or snack before. So if the afternoon is a tough time for you, focus on lunch. If post dinner is a tough time for you, focus on dinner. And what I mean by that is make sure you're having a nutritious, solid meal so that at least you're doing everything you can to minimize the physical hunger, right? Because if you're physically hungry plus emotionally hungry, that's a recipe for disaster. So I always make sure I have a really solid dinner. But the thing I do that really helps is I have fruit right after dinner. And the thing I do that really helps with that is I have the fruit ready to go so that after dinner, I don't have to even get up. I have the bowl of fruit right there. So I'm washing the fruit, I'm cutting it up, whatever fruit I'm eating, it's ready to go right after dinner. So there is zero discomfort, there is zero friction, there is zero resistance because I don't have to get up. It's right there. And once I start eating the fruit, I'm like, oh, this is delicious. This is amazing. This is all I need.
Huh. So this is discomfort you're anticipating.
Yes.
And then you're heading it off at the pass.
Exactly.
All right. I mean, I think that's important too. Like you already know there's self-inflicted discomfort coming for you, right?
Yeah.
And you're choosing your modulation instead of giving in.
Exactly. And if you want to take it one step further, after you eat that fruit, brush your teeth. And you kind of close the kitchen down, so to speak, and that really helps a lot.
I got to tell you, Adam, I mean, how long have I worked for you? I don't know. Too long to count. But when I really started practicing that, do you know how angry brushing my teeth would make? It would make me so angry in those times where at night I just wanted to go scratch that itch.
Yeah.
Y'all listening, try it. Brushing your teeth will never make you angrier.
Well, because it's funny because on some level you're kind of closing the door of
Yeah.
eating mindlessly or eating emotionally, and there is of course some pleasure while you're doing that, but you're kind of closing the door to that. And
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where a little discomfort up front, and you feel very satisfied after. Versus the flip side of is you don't brush your teeth, you keep that door open, and if you go down that door, you might feel a little pleasure in the moment for sure, but you can have a lot of discomfort after that.
Yes. Yeah. I definitely would put that on like close to the 9 or 10 on the discomfort scale. But man, the feeling you get on the other side,
Oh,
you can't put a label on that.
right.
You
It
really
feels
can't.
amazing.
It does. It does. So, kind of thinking about that, right? To me, that's sort of a carrot that we dangle for ourselves, like the feeling we get on the other side. I would bet this applies to your fitness, your exercise discomfort
No doubt.
in terms of how to
So
modulate. So talk to us about that.
yeah, I mean, this is my life's work. This is my passion. Been at this for 17 years now. Been way into fitness before then. And yet there are still times where I don't feel like exercising, Haley. Um,
It's a little
and
surprising because I feel like it's just in your DNA, and like if you were like, I'm not doing it today, your body would probably like get up and do the workout anyway.
maybe, but probably not, unfortunately. There are times where it feels like impossible to get out of my desk, to get off my desk and get up. Where it feels so easy to rationalize doing more work or taking this call, whatever it might be. It's so easy to rationalize, especially, a lack of exercise for doing something productive like work, right? It's not like I'm like trading, exercise for, scrolling social media or something like that, right? But I always try to think greater than myself. I always try to think beyond the moment I'm in. And I think about how I'm going to feel post exercise, how I'm going to feel when I'm done.
Hmm.
And like when I really transport myself there, it helps tremendously.
Yeah, that carrot. I would say personally, that's the thing that gets me through a lot of uncomfortable times. It's like, and in a way, what I'll do, I will think about that, right? Like how I'm going to feel afterward is going to be amazing. But I also think about what if I don't tolerate this discomfort? What kind of discomfort awaits me on the other side? And I'll even put that on a scale. And then
Yep.
all of a sudden, like the current moment's discomfort is modulated down. It's like, well, I don't want that discomfort. I'll take this one.
Yep.
Like I just
Totally.
think applying the scale is so beneficial. And then also understanding, like, modulate. You don't have to like, "Grr, I'm just gonna take
Yep.
no, like that's
Yep.
not what we're saying at all. And I think I don't know. I think in the face of the current crisis, like it's kind of gotten us into an all or nothing situation.
Yes. I just want to touch on, that feeling you know, um, of not doing it, right? That feeling of guilt, that feeling of regret, that feeling of like, I should have done that. That is like a lead balloon hanging over your head. And
Mm.
the only antidote to that, when you feel that truly, is to do what you need to do, what you want to do. Unfortunately, sometimes people remove the source of the guilt. Like, oh, I'm not doing this. It's making me feel guilty. But like the real answer is doing what you want to do. However, you have to dial it down. Start small. So, we talked recently about rituals, right? So
Yeah.
just because I think greater than myself, I think beyond the moment, doesn't mean I get up quickly, right? There are still times I'm dragging my feet. So I do two things that help me a lot. Number one, I chew gum. And number two, I turn on some good music for me, loud music. And like, it doesn't, again, it doesn't make it super easy, but it's starting to get the wheels grinding. It's starting to be like, all right, we're getting ready. And it's kind of like having a space in your house where you do certain work, right? That area is for this. You prime yourself. For me, putting a piece of gum in my mouth, turning on some music really helps me as well. It helps me rev it up, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then I always say, like, if it's one of those days where I'm really slow to start, I'm just like, all right, just get the first 10 minutes done. That is it. And if in 10 minutes I truly don't want to continue, you can stop. And honestly, I've been working out for a long time now. Not once have I ever wanted to stop, right? Because
Yeah.
it's that practice of starting when you don't feel like it that is so invaluable that, spills into every other aspect of life. But it's those tactics of gum, music, thinking greater than how I feel in the moment that helped me so much to get that initial start.
That's great. Yeah, the rituals like positive triggers, right? Like you're pulling these
Yeah.
triggers for forward motion. So, all right. So let's recap. All right, we're in a comfort crisis, everybody. You're with us, you're listening, you know it's true. And we're recommending self-inflicted discomfort. And we're not saying like, again, it's not a 10 on the scale. It doesn't have to be a 10, but it could be something as simple as I don't feel like working out. Let me go for 10 minutes. And if I still don't feel like working out, don't. And guess what? Congratulations, you've taken a stand in your discomfort. And we talked about modulation. So what were they, Adam?
So number one is reframing,
Okay,
right? How can you think about it differently?
got it.
Number two is setting yourself up for success, planning in advance, an if-then scenario. If this happens or when this happens, I will do X, right?
Okay,
That's a huge help. And number three is also using things like rituals and priming to get yourself
right,
going.
right. And thinking bigger than
Yes.
yourself, right? That carrot, the idea of the carrot and what you're going to have on the other side, who you're going to become on the other side. I really like thinking about that. Like, oh, who do I get to be today? Right?
Yes, exactly. Who do you want to be? How do you want to feel today? What version
Yeah.
of yourself do you want to be? Like that to me is the question I often think about is like, how do I want to show up as a father and a husband and everything like and like, I know it takes, unfortunately, you know, happiness and satisfaction, there's a price of admission, right? Like it takes effort, but that effort is so worthwhile.
It really is. And it's relatively little, to be honest with you. I mean, if we add up all that discomfort you just shared with us, time-wise, maybe it's 5 minutes.
Right.
Can I be uncomfortable for 5 minutes a day? You
Right.
betcha.
Right. Well, it's often, I always say, like, weight loss and fitness often comes down to a few tough moments each day and each week. And if you can learn how to get through those, then the sky is the limit.
Mm.
And, two other thoughts quickly on discomfort is, number one, I mean, if I had to share one piece of advice with my children, one piece of advice of how to be successful, it would be increase your TFD, your tolerance for discomfort. The more they get comfortable being uncomfortable, the more successful and happy they'll be. There is no question about that. Do you agree with that?
100%. I am constantly telling my kids, go find something to do or get off your games or what. Well, I'm bored. Okay. Is that terrible? Are you going to die? No, be bored. So what?
Right. Well, and that's a gift of in itself of allowing our children to be bored. That's
Yeah,
uncomfortable, right?
it
And
is.
for us too, those adults. And my challenge to you this week is whenever you have an opportunity to feel uncomfortable, embrace it. Whether it's sitting in line at the store, you know what? Look at the surroundings, look at the people, look at the cashier, look at the little conveyor belt thing. Like there's so many things that, you could do instead of just looking at your phone, right?
Mm.
If it's in the middle of the afternoon and you really want that cookie, what else can you do besides have that cookie? Try to embrace the discomfort because again, I really believe that, the more we seek comfort, the faster we age here. So when you fight that, when you give yourself that friction, that self-imposed friction, it's going to make you feel alive and it's going to ultimately, I think, keep you feeling, healthy and vital and vibrant, which is the goal here, right? The goal here is to be as vibrant as possible.
For as long as possible,
The goal is to
right?
die as young as possible, as late as possible, right? Die young as late as possible.
I like it. I like it. All right, guys, you heard it here first. We have the Fountain of Youth. Share with
No,
us.
no,
No, but
just
seriously.
just another light claim. No, just a light claim.
Yeah, I don't care. Tell everybody. But no, seriously, this week, if you take Adam up on his recommendation and you find those moments of discomfort to embrace, email us, let us know. We want to hear, put it on the scale. Where was it? 0 to 10. Did you modulate? If so, how so? Or did you let it blast your face off? Right? Like
By
teeth
the
brushing at the end of the night.
right, there's one thing I meant to say, and
Oh, okay.
I just want to say it. Unfortunately, there's no way around discomfort. The only way is through. And so often we're trying to do this, do that. The only way is through. Sometimes you just have to sit with that feeling, right? And that's hard. And I think the strategies we shared will help you make it less uncomfortable. But I think sometimes you expect yourself to sit through it and just think about ways to make it a little more tolerable, makes it a lot easier. But remember, there's no way around it. You only can go through it.
It's true. Only one way through, and that's through.
Love it.
All right, Adam. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see you next time. Until then, take good care.